Greetings aspirants, I welcome you all to UPSC Guide. So today we will see some questions from your daily mains answer writing initiative. Okay, so let's look at the question. So the question says corruption is the manifestation of failure of core values in the society. In your opinion, what measures can be adopted to uplift the core values in the society? So this question is asking in us about the corruption. The focus point would be corruption, and you have to address two parts to it. That is why corruption is a failure due to the failure of core values in the society, and the second is measures that can be adopted to uplift the core values of the society. So first of all, define corruption. Corruption is nothing but misuse of the power for personal or vested interest. Okay, that is the act of misuse and abuse of power for your personal aggrandizement or your personal benefits or your personal vested interests. Okay, this can be observed mostly well if you are serving into any authority, like that is government servants as well as the private officers. Okay, both can be seen, or the instances can be seen of corruption into this setup. Okay, and just adding a footer line to that, what are the consequences of corruption? That is, it promotes illegality. Yes, illegality of things like drug abuse, arms trading, unethicality, mob lynching, all these things. Subjectivity, yes, not a transparent and objective setup, not a rules based setup. Promotes inequality, yes, Oxfam report if you see. Okay, then promotes injustice, yes, injustice, and wastage of resources, inefficiency and inconsistency in administrative conduct. Okay, okay, now let's go to your first part, that is why corruption is a manifestation of failure of core values of the society. So if you see, that is the erosion of honesty and trust. Okay, what happens? What happens that due to the erosion of honesty and trust, a person sheds away his responsibility. Okay, sheds away his responsibility, and this is also due to the lack of accountability measures. Okay, accountability measures. For example, modern society often rely more on contractual obligations than on person's word. Yes, yes, contractual obligations than a person's word, because the gravity or the intensity or the trust value of someone's sayings are not been valued here, because there has been a tendency that everyone has lost the humanity in this world. Okay, secondly, if you see, there are being drastic shift in the values and empathy. Yes, people are being apathetic as well as loss of values like compassion, love. Okay, all these values have been due to personal gains as well as self-centricism. Okay, self-centric society is now moving towards or being more as a self-centric, thinking about ourselves rather than the larger goods on larger effect or the larger benefits of the society. If you see, community welfare projects are often overlooked in the favor of personal enrichment. Okay, for example, blood donation campaigns, more as a promotion of any local politicians or a charismatic person, rather than looking it as a community welfare program. He uses it as a avenue of promoting his own candidature. Okay, third, that infusion of more materialism. Okay, infusion of more materialism. Why this is happening? Because of the influence of westernization or globalization. People are moving towards more individualism rather than collectivism. All the social obligations are being now broken down. Okay, they are not been observed. So the materialism is been followed, and which is leading to the to the failure of core values resulting into corruption. Yes, a demand for luxurious life which sacrifices core societal values. Okay. Then the failure of our educational and societal role models. Educational system is being failing, okay, to instill a value education, ethical value education, integrity, morality, compassion, okay, probity. All these things should be taught in the class itself or the education system itself, rather than, okay, being a self-studying module. It should be it should be included into the your school curriculum, okay. And as well as the societal role models. If you see Association of Democratic Reforms, they have quoted, or they have published in their findings that more than 46% of your parliamentarians are having are undergoing a serious crimes, okay, serious crime, they have committed serious crimes, okay, they are undergoing trials to it. So if these are your societal models in today's era, so if you can't expect that your core value system would be intact, and definitely this is going to result into the corruption, okay. Now let's see what are the measures needed to uplift the core values of the society. What would it be? If you see, starting from the base itself, the family system, where your father, mother, as well as your siblings, all these people or these agents, social agents of change, this play an important role, okay. From mother, you learn the nature of thriftness, okay. From father, you learn the values of perseverance, values of being obedient as well as honest, okay. So basically the things start from the your socialization agents, those are your family. Secondly, if you see, it talks about building a good value education system, okay. Education being a good social agent of change can promote some visionary as well as vigilant citizens, okay, vigilant and visionary citizens of India. Secondly, if you see, moral education. Thirdly, if you see, we need to promote, or we need to highlight the role of our freedom fighters, or the leaders, or the entrepreneurs, as well as the philanthropists, all these people who have made an impeccable impact on the society due to their value systems. Compassions, Mother Teresa, compassion, okay, Ratan Tata, compassion, okay, Mahatma Gandhi, all these famous personalities, all these charismatic, eminent personalities should be overall reflected as well as taught in the educations or the education system or your school times itself, okay, so that they serve as a role model. They serve as a role model. Even religion can play a very important role to build your core values very intact. All these religious intelligentsias, okay, dharma gurus, maulavis, all these should promote the religious tenets of giving and sharing and caring, as well as living with honesty. Honesty is the best policy. All these things which religions has been promoting over the years should be propagated by these religious intelligentsias. If you see, we should also promote social engagement, that is community events, forums for social auditing, as well as ensuring more transparency or promoting vigilant drives, okay, awareness programs, okay. Then you should also address the socio-economic inequality. As Oxfam report has said, 10% only, India's top 10% own 73% of India's wealth or the income, and other things are like the rest of the 27% are being owned by the 90% of the strata. So this shows that there is a drastic income inequality present in the Indian setup, okay. So we have to address the socio-economic inequalities. to progressive taxation, other measures. Okay. Also making your law as a agent of social change, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. All these things need to be stringently implemented so that corruption cases should be tackled, or a effective deterrence system should be set up so that no one dares to act or commit the act of corruption. Okay. Then you have to champion societal values over personal greeds. Okay. So if you see public campaigns like corruption free India, all these things, Anna Hazare's campaign, Lokpal, all these things were an initiative of community setup or the community public campaigns. You can quote it here. Okay. And if you have to conclude it, so the main thing would be like, if you see there is RT Act also, all these things, what this has changed in this Indian setup, that it has given voice to voiceless. It has given voice to voiceless in the society, to every individual, so that he raises up his voice to promote more and more transparent as well as vigilant setup. Okay, let's look at one more question. So it says, is conscience a more reliable guide when compared to laws, rules, and regulations in the context of ethical decision making? Discuss. So, ethical decision making. What is ethical decision making, as well as what is conscience? You can define it in the intro itself. So, what is ethics first of all? It is the study of human behavior or the action with respect to righteousness or wrongfulness. Okay, right or wrong. Why? To attain the ultimate happiness. Okay, every action should always result into attaining of ultimate happiness. Okay, or ultimate satisfaction. But this has to be carried out within the parameters of right and wrong of the society. Right and wrong of the society. So, ethical decision making involves evaluating right versus wrong based on the principles of justice, fairness, and right based approach. Okay. And what is conscience? Conscience is nothing but a moral judge. It is an internal moral judge, or if you see, it is the alert or a vigilant system which alerts you while committing any act, or it kind of cautions you so that either you avoid it or either you proceed with a cautious. Okay. So if you see, conscience is a moral, is an inner moral sense, or like I said, it is a inner moral judge. It is a inner moral judge present within us, where where it aims to guide the choices of an individual, so that mostly they are inclined towards an ethical perspective. Okay. Then we have to move to your first part. Why ethics as an ethical guide is more considered, or it's more prominent. So what does conscience implies, or with respect to ethical guide, what does it promote? That it promotes moral autonomy. That as an individual, I get to decide what is right and wrong. Whenever, if even if the consequences are wrong, let me be that accountable to take its responsibility. Okay. So it promotes moral autonomy. It gives free will in exercising your moral judgments. Okay. It gives free will in exercising your moral judgments. Then it also helps in contextual ethical analysis. Every situation is different, and based on that situation, every context of that particular event would be different, and every ethical principle cannot be applied same to every situation. Okay. So you should be able to differ or differentiate or apply contextual ethical analysis. Based on every situation, your ethical analysis should be different. For example, an ambulance, the driver knows that if I attend this signal, traffic signal, then the life of the patient would be at risk. So he makes a contextual ethical analysis and decides to break the traffic signal. Okay. Then you also conscience helps in in promoting self accountability. Like what I said, you take the responsibility of your actions or your decisions. That is internal checks and balances. And where this is important where greed as well as corruption, all these incidents which acts like a slippery slope, which try to tempt you. Okay, even in the cases of drugs abuse as well as alcoholism, you need to be a self accountable to your actions. Okay, also why concise has some limitations, because it involves subjectivity. Every, as I said, morality as well as conscience is an inner moral judge. So it is with respect to an individual, and if the individual socialization has not been properly implemented or not properly been done, then maybe his morality would be lacking some base. Okay, that's why it also depends upon social conditioning and norms, as well as it is a subjective thing. For example, sati system. There was one at a time that sati system was considered as an ethical practice. Okay, but now if someone is practicing that, his morality is being doubted here. Okay, same is with smoking. Okay, even when there are repeated warnings being issued, the person indulges into some some drug abuses or smoking as well as alcoholism. That is, if and it is about the instant gratification, therefore it is his subjective decision making, which cannot be considered as a foolproof ethical guide. Okay, then moving to the next part, that is laws as an ethical guide. Are laws helpful, or or are laws a foolproof ethical guide to our action? Okay, okay. So some points about it, that is, it is codified ethics. Definitely, yes. Laws are nothing but there are codification of societal norms. Okay, this is codified ethics of society. They signal collective moral standards, rights and duties. Okay, so with when a law is implemented, it becomes obligation of every citizens to strictly adhere to it, or else regulations as well as some rules for violation of laws are being implemented. So punitive measures are being implemented, so that your ethical action as well as your moral action would be regulated. Okay. Secondly, laws are being more consistent, as well as they ensure a fair and just society. Okay, every individual or laws are applied same or uniform with respect to every citizen. Okay, there are not article 14, you see, rule of law as well as equal protection of law, they are applied equally to every single citizen of India. They are, at times they are discriminatory, positive discrimination, but these are exceptions. Okay, these are exceptions to it. Then law also ensures accountability structures, that is judicial review. Yes, your courts, police force, they try to regulate or act as a social control on your actions, which are more inclined towards ethical. Okay, which are more inclined towards ethical way of life. But laws will also have some negative things, like is law limitations. That is, if you can quote it here, it won't ensure a self accountability. Obviously, I will drop my accountability towards the police force or the courts. Okay, then it will also not ensure contextual ethical analytical decision making. Yes, contextual ethical analysis decision making, and it will also kill my moral autonomy. Okay, but how to achieve that golden mean? Okay, so with respect to conscience, and so you have to take all these things together if you have to have an ethical society. Okay, rules, regulations, laws on one side, conscience on the other side. Yes, and the individual, okay, or the societal ethics on one side. All these three things should go hand in hand as well as be interlinked so that an ethical society can be achieved. Okay, thank you.